Guys, all the cars that you see in these videos are for sale on my website, www.woodsandbarclay.com. Enjoy the video. Hey everyone, welcome back to the video series on the 1985 Diamond Blue Wagon. Today we're going to do the overhaul on the air conditioning system. Also, I want to do any general maintenance that's required. So before I start on the maintenance, I went through the service records and I also talked to the gentleman that I purchased the car from. And I discovered that a lot of the maintenance was done 700 miles ago. For example, Ernie had a valve adjustment and new valve cover gasket installed. I think it said 124,080 miles, and it has 124,700 miles on it now. So it's already got a fresh valve adjustment. He also flushed the coolant and did the transmission service, and that was done 700 miles ago. So we don't need to do the transmission. Now the coolant, I already filled it up with some new coolant because I changed the reservoir. He also did the brake system flush. However, since I put all new brakes on the car, we're going to go ahead and flush that again. But as far as the valve adjustment, valve cover gasket, transmission service, power steering fluid, that was all just done. So that's not going to be required. However, the oil change, even though that was recently done, I like to go ahead and just do a fresh oil change on every car. So we're going to do an oil change and a new oil filter. So let's go ahead, dive in. We're going to start on the AC system. Okay, we see here on my bench, I have the brand new AC compressor. I have our new compressor seals. There is our temperature switch. There's our pressure switch, and there's our new receiver dryer. Now I also picked up some Limforder sway bar end links. Remember in the last video, I removed those sway bar end links. There's some brand new ones, so we're going to put those on the car. So in order to start with the AC system, what we're going to want to do is remove this headlight bezel so I can kind of get behind here and clean. Also, if we look behind here, we can see there's the original AC receiver dryer, and there's some dirt and stuff back here, so I want to go ahead and clean that up. Now, keep in mind, this is going to the detail shop after this, so Scott is going to completely clean and do everything in the engine compartment, but I can go ahead and get under here because you notice I have the air filter housing removed, and I've put that, there we go, I've got all those parts in a box right there. And I'm going to reinstall that. So before I put that stuff back in, I want to clean real good underneath here. But let's start by removing the headlight bezel, and we can easily get access to the receiver dryer to change it. All right, getting access to the receiver dryer, pretty easy. We're gonna, I think I showed this in one of the earlier videos how to install these headlights. But there's little thumb screws or thumb wheels that you screw off on the back. I'll show you one here. There we go. They're just little plastic thumb wheels. So we'll set that aside. Let me get the other ones out here. All right, when we pull out that bezel, there we go. Now we can just remove the headlight assembly, and that's a screw here, here, and I'll pop out this light here. There's two over here, and then this comes out and we get full access. All right, guys, so what you see here, let me zoom in for you. Okay, cool. What you see here is the receiver dryer. Now, we just need to unplug our power connections. This is for the pressure switch, and this one over here is for the temperature switch. We're just going to unplug these. Got that one. There we go. And now I need to crack loose the lines. We have a line that runs here up to the front of the car, and a line that runs here to the back of the car, and then we can get this guy out of here. All right, this is just a 19 millimeter wrench. There we go, got that one loose. Let's get this one here loose. There we go. And those are just screw these off. Oh, system was under vacuum, which is good. That means there was no air in the system. All right. All right, we got those lines disconnected. Now there's just 2 sheet metal screws that hold this receiver dryer to the vehicle. I need to take those out and then we can slip this thing right out of here. All right, let's see if I can get down here with my extension. I think these are 8mm guys. All right, there we go. There we go. Just a little 8mm sheet metal screw. Oh, there we go. This is the easiest part of the AC, is we're changing the receiver dryer. There we go. Now, this will just lift out of the car. All right, there we go. There's the old original, I think. Yeah, that could be original. And there we go. Here's the receiver dryer. Here's the 2 switches we're replacing. All right, let me clean up in here a little bit, wipe it down with some solvent, clean it up, and then reinstall our new one. All right, got a rag down here. And I just have some acetone on the rag because acetone's great for just getting grease and grime. You want to be careful though, because it'll remove your paint if you get it on your paint. But if you move it across real quickly, it will not. Just got to know how to use it. Okay, good. I've got that cleaned up all in this area where all those parts are going to be reinstalled. Try to get behind here a little bit. Okay, good. Now let me go get the new receiver dryer. Okay, so we have our old one here, and you notice there were some O-rings in here. This is what seals those lines in the car. And these are the old original O-rings. Let's see, here's the other one right here. And we want to find replacements to put on the new receiver dryer. So here's my AC O-ring kit. I think there's one right there. And let's grab another one here. Okay, there we go. I finally found the correct sizes. There we go. So we're going to throw away our old ones. Now these are actually going to go back on the lines in the car. So let's go ahead and just do that first. And this is the AC compressor oil, the compressor oil, because we have to fill the system back with the right amount of oil. I just like to dip them in a little of the oil before I reinstall them. All right, let's go put these back on the car. Okay, here's one line right here. And I'm going to put one of our O-rings back on that one. And here's our other line. This goes up to the expansion valve inside the car. We're going to put our other O-ring right there. Okay, now let's work on preparing our receiver dryer. Okay, the reason this stuff is green too is because it has dye in it, so I can check for leaks with a UV light once I've got it all back together. All right, I need to put all my O-rings back in the bag here. But first, let's just go ahead. We're going to prepare our receiver dryer. We need to take off these plugs here. Here we go. And they ship with an O-ring on there, but we're going to install new ones that come on our switches. Take that O-ring out, and let's get this one off here. Okay, so you can see on our old receiver dryer, this pressure switch was located right here. So we're going to take our new pressure switch, and you can see they come with new O-rings installed. And I'm just going to get a little bit of our oil, lubricate our O-ring just a little bit before we install it. Here we go. And that is going to just screw on right here. And let me tighten that guy down. All right, good. Now this is our temperature switch here. And let's take our little protective cap off. These are the caps that I use on the brake lines. If you wonder where I get them, when I'm changing brake system, I have a bunch of these little caps from these pressure switches, and I save these, and they go over the brake line so you don't lose all your brake fluid when you're changing brakes. All right, let me get a little more oil here. We're just going to put a dab around there. There we go. And we're going to screw this in here. And we'll tighten this one down. I see they're like a 14 or 15 millimeter. There we go. It is a 14 millimeter. There we go. All right, now let me just wipe off any of that oil that has the dye in it. Otherwise, it'll give me a false reading, and I'll think I have a leak, and really I just made a mess when I was installing it. Okay, now let's take off our protective caps here. These are what those other O-rings are for, is these fittings here. These are what connect back into the car. All right, there we go. This is ready to go back in the car. Let's move over there. Okay, this is just going to slip back down into here, like so. And let's move our wires out of the way so we can get our tab under there. There we go. It's going to sit like that. And I'm loosely going to get our lines connected. And these are the lines that we put those new O-rings on. That one goes in there. All right, now before I tighten them down, I want to put the sheet metal screws back in here to hold it in place so I can actually tighten it. All right, good. Now we have leverage to actually tighten our hoses. I can come in here. And you don't have to go crazy tight, just like one grunt. The O-rings do all the sealing, not how tight you make it. All right, let's hold it there. There we go. Those are on there. Okay, now let's reconnect our power lines. Right there on that. That one's going to connect right there on that. Good. Now this one, we're going to connect here. All right, now notice how we have two plastic covers there. The way you can get this inserted, you have to take a razor blade and slice this one. Originally, Mercedes would have one uncovered. However, the new ones, they both come covered, so it doesn't short out. So you slice, you get this one in here. There we go. So I'm going to slice our plastic there. And right there. There we go. And once you slice it, you can peel these back on the connector. And then you can plug it back into the original connector. Ah, there we go. Beautiful. And we do have a zip tie. Let's go ahead and zip tie that in place to like hold it in a nice position. Now you see Mercedes from the factory, they have a zip tie that's mounted to the frame right here, a reusable one. But the way the new receiver dryers are designed, the wiring won't quite reach it. So all I do is I start that factory zip tie, and then I put our new zip tie just through the factory zip tie, and that'll hold it nicely in place right like that. Now I'll clip off the excess. There we go. Receiver dryer is done. So now let's move to the AC compressor. Okay, I've already got my AC manifold gauges on the car, but next thing we want to do, we want to raise it up in the air and remove the old compressor and then prep our new compressor for installation. So let me get it up on the lift. Okay guys, I have a light under here so maybe you guys can see better, but here's our dirty old AC compressor. Now I see that the belt has already been changed, so that's a good belt. But this AC compressor has been on here a long time. We can see it's leaking like right around here. See, we've got some oil leaking out the front of it, and I can see the line here is kind of covered in AC compressor oil. So it's definitely time for that one to come out. Now, to get these compressors out, first we want to go ahead and unplug our power. That just unplugs right there. And we have, there's a bolt right here, and there's a giant spacer, and that goes through the compressor and connects, let's see, it goes through right up here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a spacer right there. I'm touching it. So you have the spacer, the bracket, this long spacer, and the long bolt that goes through it. Now we also, up here, this is our tensioning rod. See that tensioning rod goes right up there? And that tensioning rod comes down and hooks around the bolt that comes through. You can see the bolt head is actually right there. Well, that goes through. If we loosen that, you can adjust your tension, and that pulls the compressor like up or down to put tension on the belt. And I can feel the belt tension is excellent. So if I can, I'm not gonna alter the tension from the tensioning rod. Sometimes you have to loosen that tensioning rod to lower the compressor down in order to get the compressor out. But what I want to point out here, there's another spacer right there. Very important, that spacer goes back in that position. So we got one bolt, our second bolt runs through there. Now our third bolt, you guys aren't going to be able to see it. It is, I'm actually touching the head of the bolt right up in there. You have to get like a wrench up behind there with like an angled head to get that one out. There's 3 bolts that hold it in. So your final bolt, see this bracket right here? This holds your AC manifold, your high pressure and low pressure line to the back of the compressor. And that's just like a stabilizing bracket. Sometimes I see this bolt that goes through here and holds that as missing. It's not absolutely crucial, but we're going to take that off. That's a 13 millimeter, and we'll take that bolt out too. And then I'm going to drop this compressor out of here. Now I'm going to do all that off camera because there'll be a lot of cussing, and I don't want to put that on YouTube, but I'll be back in a minute. All right, I got the old compressor out of there, and yeah, you can see that thing's kind of nasty. It actually still was turning on and engaging, but yeah, it's definitely just time to replace that guy. So here's our new one right here. Now with our new one, what we want to do is crack the seal loose here, and we want to drain all the oil out of it because they come with about 2 to 3 ounces of oil in them. We want to drain that out and measure it, and then when we put it back in the car and connect everything, we want to inject oil back into the system. Here's my oil injector, and this one holds like 2 ounces, and typically about 2 ounces comes out of here. So let's go ahead and drain that and see what we have. By the way, the reason we drain out the oil is because you can't install the compressor with the oil in it. Because imagine, if we're installing it in the car like that, all that oil is going to drain out all over me as soon as I hold it up there in the air and this seal is not in place. So that's why we have to drain the oil. Also, I wanted to show you, here's the old seals, the old compressor seals. That's a gold one. Oh, the gold one goes there. And here is our green one. And now we have brand new compressor seals. There, see, there's our gold one, and there's the green one. You don't use the red ones, guys. Just throw those away. All right, so these are usually under pressure, so sometimes this turquoise plug comes flying off at me. We'll just see what happens on this one. I'm just going to stand back. All right, let's see. Oh, yeah, there we go. All right, we got that plug off of here. Now we want to drain out our compressor oil, and this is just a graduated cylinder, so I can measure it. And usually it's about 2 ounces. Okay, that's pretty good. And we can see, yeah, we got about exactly 2 ounces. So if you see, there's our 4 ounce mark, and you can see we're right about halfway. So about 2, maybe 2.3 ounces. So that's what we're going to put back in when we reinstall the compressor. All right, guys, I really don't know how much of this I'm going to be able to record for you guys, but y'all can see me struggle here for a second because these things are pretty heavy. I don't know, they're not that heavy. It's just a pain in the butt to get them back up into here. Okay, there went my spacer, so I actually need to go get that. Come on. Okay, got that up there. Let me get the belt around it. Almost. Just want to get one screw started. Oh, all right, guys, I'm going to just mess with this for a minute. I'll be back when I have it in there. All right, guys, after some cussing and fighting, and I have this compressor back up here. I got 2 bolts in there. I need to get the third one connected. But now what I want to do is put our green seal and our gold seal in there. And I've got these, I soaked them or coated them in some compressor oil. Now, this is kind of tricky, guys, but our green seal is going to go over here on this side. The green seal is easy to get in there. See, that just slips right in. The gold seal, a little trickier. You got to press this up in here, and it's a tight fit. But, okay, I've got it in there. Now I got to get this bolt snugged up here so it holds them in there. And that's going to require some more cussing, so I'm going to do that offline. Okay, got those seals in there, got the bolt in there. Now I'm just snugging that bolt up here. And you want to make this one pretty damn tight because you don't want those seals to leak. And you can only get in there with a 16mm wrench. It's kind of awkward. Okay, that's tight. Let me do one more. Okay, yeah, that's not going to leak. Okay, good. Now I need to go ahead and put our 13mm through here. Remember, that's the little bracket that holds this like tab right here. Let's see. There we go. It holds the this little tab that like stabilizes this AC manifold. We'll tighten that back down. That's a 13mm. And then I'll tighten down the bolts on the back and need to plug back in our power here. And then we're done with the AC compressor, and it'll be time to put the system under vacuum and recharge it. Now let's go ahead and lower the car and put the system under a vacuum. Okay, guys, you can see I have a vacuum pump here, and I have the low pressure and high pressure gauges connected. And you remember in high school chemistry class, if you put water under a vacuum, what happens to it? Well, it boils. So what we want to do is put this system under a vacuum, and it's going to cause any moisture to boil out of there, because we've had the system opened up and moisture from the air actually got in there. So we're going to put it under a vacuum. Now what we're also going to do, we want to put it under vacuum to see if there's any leaks in the system. So when I've got these both open. Now when I put it under a vacuum, you can see right here, see it says -30 inches of mercury. INHG. That's vacuum. Now we get down to around -28 or so once we put it under a vacuum. And we want to let it sit there. Let me turn this on. All right, do you see that? See how it shot down and sucked the system down under vacuum on the high pressure and low pressure sides? Now we want to put it under vacuum. We're going to let it run for like 45 minutes. And then we're going to shut the system, close it off, turn off the pump, and we're going to let that sit for like 24 hours. And if we come back and there are no, and that vacuum is still in the system, that means there's no leaks. Now, if you remember when I took out the receiver dryer, remember we heard that real loud hissing sound? That means that was air sucking into the system because it was currently under vacuum. So I pretty much already know that this system has no leaks in it because it's been sealed up ever since I got it. And it still had vacuum in it. So anyway, let's let this vacuum run for 45 minutes, get any moisture out of there, and then we'll shut it off. And it is New Year's Eve, so I'm gonna go to my family's house, and then I'll let this sit overnight, and I'll come back tomorrow and we'll check our gauges. All right, guys, I went ahead and changed my gauges because this one had a bigger, this is a new gauge set, and I wanted to try it out. It has a bigger vacuum gauge reading. And this system is currently going under vacuum. You can see we're almost down to like -20. So once it's done vacuuming down, I'll let it run for a little while. And then we'll shut these valves off and we'll see where it's holding. All right, guys, this vacuum has been running for about 45 minutes. Let me show you what the gauges say. There we go. You can see I have a nice big, so it's like, I don't know, what is that, like probably 29. If I move over here, yeah, that's about, yeah, it's about 29 inches, -29 inches of mercury. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to shut off my gauge here. There you go. I've sealed the system. Okay, that system is sealed. And I'm going to shut off our vacuum. Okay, yeah, there we are. We're holding at about -29 inches of mercury. So we'll let this sit overnight. I'll be back tomorrow to check it. All right, guys, it's actually 2 days later. And I don't know, it's maybe 65 degrees here in Georgia. So warm enough where I'm in a t-shirt and we can actually recharge the AC and test the vent temperatures. But this has been, the car has been under vacuum now for like 48 hours. And I just checked the gauges here. I'll show them to you. And we can see, let me turn off the light here. Yeah, we can see that gauge has not budged. We're right where we left it. So that means there's no leaks in the system and we're good to start the recharging process. Now, over here on the core support, you have the, okay, this is the R12, right? Now, this system has been converted already to R134, meaning the R12 was flushed out and it was filled with PAG oil instead of mineral oil and R134 instead of R12. That's really all the conversion is, guys. It's not actually a conversion, but R12, it says the max for the 123 chassis is 2.9 pounds. Now, with R134, you want to do about 75% of that. So let me do that math real quick. Okay, so these are 12-ounce cans, and 3 of those is like 2.2, 2.3, something like that, pounds. And 75%, roughly 75 or 80% of the R12 system is about 2.175 or something. Anyway, so the correct amount to refill with R134 is 3 12-ounce cans. You want to get it right in that area. So also, remember we dumped out the oil from the compressor. So we want to add in 2 more ounces of oil. And then since I opened up the system and installed a new receiver dryer, we're going to go ahead and add an additional 2 ounces. So 4 ounces total back into the system. So let's go ahead and get to work on this. All right, I have my graduated cylinder here, and we're going to go ahead and refill that. And it's measured. Right now I have it unscrewed. down, and we can see it says 2 ounces right here. And you can measure out how many ounces, sorry, I have the hiccups. You can measure how many ounces you want to put back in. There we go, that's 2 ounces, so that's what we'll inject back into the system first. Now, before I put this in here, I want to go ahead and put in 1 can of R134, and then I'll go ahead and inject our oil into the system. All right, before I can put in the R134, I need to crank the car and put the AC on high. We're going to let the engine heat up a little bit because it's cold. It's been sitting overnight. And then I'm going to start putting in the R134. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the AC. All right, I've got the AC on high, and we're going to go ahead, open up our can, and first I want to purge the air out of the system. And we're going to do this through our purge valve right here. There we go. You saw R134 came out. Now, I'm going to go ahead and open up our low pressure side. And there we go. It's now sucking in on R134, and I can see it right there in the sight glass. Okay, this is going to take me a few minutes. I'll let this can go all the way in. Then we'll do the oil, and then we'll move to the other 2 cans. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stick a thermometer in the vent inside the car, so we can start taking temperatures here in a few minutes. And there we go, I just heard the compressor kick on. All right, this can's about empty. I'm gonna go ahead, close the system, and then I'm going to connect my oil and inject my compressor oil. Alright, that's all the 2 ounces of oil. Now let's go ahead and do our next can of R134. Alright guys, we've got 2 cans in. It should be nice and cold at this point, even though we have 1 more can to go. Let's take a look here. Oh yeah, you can see it is already at 39 degrees. Let's see, let me turn out the light so you guys can see that. There you go, the green mark right there is 40 degrees, and you can see we're like 1 blip below it at 39 degrees. So mission accomplished on the AC. This is working perfect. Now in the summertime, keep in mind it's not very hot outside. So in the summertime, that's most likely going to be in the low 40s. 43 to 45 degrees, something like that. But it's cool outside, so we're dipping into the 30s right now. Anyway, let me go ahead and finish recharging this, and I'll come back in a minute. All right, while we're just finishing up on these cans, I went ahead and reinstalled the air filter housing. But as part of the maintenance I'm going to do when we're done charging the system, I want to take off the lid here and refinish it. See, it's got a little surface spots where some surface rust got on there, so I want to sand that down and refinish it. We'll do that next. All right, still charging here, guys, but what I want to do now, I want to increase the idle a little bit to smooth out the engine at idle. And there's an adjustment nut, let's see, right there. See that adjustment screw right there? I want to adjust it to about right there, about 150 RPM. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust that, and we'll smooth out the engine idle. Now the way you adjust it, first you have to undo the set screw or the lock screw with a 14 millimeter. Now you want to tighten up the idle adjustment. There we go. Let me see what that's at. Okay, we're right about 900 right there. See how smooth that engine is now? All right, let me go ahead and put the lock nut back in place. Yeah, that's very good. That's right where I want it. There we go. Oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah, look how smooth it's running now. Perfect. All right, guys, we're done with all the R134. I'm just putting in the final bit of compressor oil, and then we'll be done with recharging this system. Mission accomplished on the AC. Oh yeah, that's ice cold, and all the vents are correctly opened because we redid the vacuum pods. That AC is perfect. All right, guys, while the engine's hot, I want to go ahead and do an oil change. So first we're going to get our filter out. And for those of you who have not done an oil change on these cars, let me show you. So back here, you have your oil filter. See, shows an oil filter, and you have two 13mm nuts. One there, and the other one is right there. Now, there's all your vacuum lines that run into the car. They control your climate control. That's the green one. The brown one is your engine shutoff, and the yellow one, you can barely see it back there, that's your door locks. So it's common when you're taking these oil filter caps off to like knock one of those loose. So just pay attention, and if you knock one loose, just reconnect it. And you'll know because sometimes people knock one loose and then they crank the car later and go to shut it off and it doesn't turn off. And that's because you knocked the engine shutoff vacuum line loose. Anyway, let's go ahead, get these two 13mm nuts off of here. And this is the one back behind the vacuum lines. Just kind of gotta snake it back there. There we go. Okay, now when you're pulling off of here, there's a heater hose that's always in the way. You got to kind of push that heater hose to the side and then push your vacuum lines to the side, and you got to like squeeze it by here. There we go. All right, there's our oil filter cap. Now around your cap, you have an O-ring. See this black O-ring right here? Every oil filter comes with a new O-ring. Make sure this is not still stuck on the engine, and make sure you take it off here and replace it. Now the oil filters have a handle on there. We just grab the handle, lift it up, and there we go. All right, here's our replacement oil filter. And all the oil filters, you come with a crush washer for the drain plug. And see, there's our new gasket, or our new O-ring. So we're going to take this old one off of here, and then I'll put a little oil on here and then stick this one back on. All right, got that new O-ring, put a little oil on there. All right, then our oil filter just goes right in there. All right, let's put this back in the car. All right, again, it's kind of tricky putting them back in, guys. Got to make sure you pull the vacuum lines out of the way. Seems like everything's in the way. There we go. Now push that heater hose out of the way. All right, there we go. Now, guys, these 13mm nuts, you don't need to crank them down. They're actually going into some pressed in studs. And if you crank these down, you're actually going to pull the studs out, and then you'll have a horrible oil leak. So just snug them up. You don't need to go crazy tight. All right, then one good turn. There we go. That's it. You don't need to go tighter than that. All right, let's get this up in the air. All right, we're just going to take our drain plug off here. Again, that's also 13 millimeter. There we go. And you want to make sure to replace the crush washer. We can see here, there's a copper crush washer, and every oil filter comes with a new crush washer. All right, let's let that drain. While that's draining, here is the new crush washer that comes with the oil filters. We'll just put that on there. That way it won't leak when we put it back together. Okay guys, while this oil is draining here, I'm going to go to the back of the car and we're going to go ahead and reinstall our new sway bar end links. Because remember those from the last video, they were kind of rotten. There we go. There's our new ones. Yeah, I think we have, yep, there's our nuts to hold them on there. All right, let me go install those and I'll show you when I'm done. All right, these are kind of tricky to install. So here's where I'm standing. There's the back of the car. I'm standing right on this side. And you see right there, see the hole in the wheel hub? You gotta get that started. There you go, in the hole there. And to start tightening it down, you need a shaved down wrench. See how I've shaved that down? And that allows me to get really, really close up in here, get it on there and tighten it. So I have to put the camera down to start tightening that, and I'll be back when we're done. Okay, there we go. We have our new sway bar end links installed on both sides of the car. All right, let's go finish this oil change. Got to get my drain plug back in here with our new crush washer. There we go. All right, we'll tighten that down, lower the car, and fill it back up with oil. All right, guys, we're going to put back in, I think it's like around 8 quarts of oil, but guys, the oil I'm using is made by Lubrication Engineers, Monolec Diesel Engine Oil. And guys, this is really good stuff. I used this when I was racing at the professional level. I also used their transmission fluid. They make fantastic oils. And I used to use Rotella T4, but since then I've switched over to Lubrication Engineers. Now, you guys will get a discount if you contact Clay. I'll put his contact info on the screen. If you mention Woods and Barclay, you get a discount. And guys, I'm not making a penny off of this. I'm just showing you guys what I like to use. This is fantastic diesel engine oil. So we're going to go ahead, put in, it takes almost a whole one of these jugs. We'll put about 3/4 of it. And this is a 2-gallon jug. And then we'll take our measurement, let it settle, and then top it off. All right, while that's settling, in the meantime, I want to go ahead and refinish our air cleaner housing lid. So let me take this off. We're also going to put a new air filter in here. And guys, this is also a 13 millimeter. And I'm going to loosen our little hose clamp right here. And we'll take our lid off. Ah, that is a brand new air filter. Yeah, I told you this car had just been serviced 700 miles ago. Look at that. That is brand new. Yeah, okay, that's a brand new filter. We don't need to change that. But what I do want to do is go ahead and sand down some of these areas and then respray that in the semi-gloss black, and that'll look really good. I'm just going to wipe this down real good with acetone to get any grease and oil off of here. Actually, that's not rust, that's just where some of the paint came off. So we can just respray this and it'll look excuse me, it'll look a lot nicer. All right, let me let that dry, and then we're just going to respray that. All right, guys, so on a diesel engine, right when you put your oil in, it immediately turns black, like when you run the car for just 30 seconds, because there's soot in diesel engines. All right, yeah, you can see there's already some black on it, but you want it to be, on these engines, you see there's a notch here and a notch there. You want the oil to be right between the notch. And that's kind of where we are right now. Or not kind of, it is where we are right now. But I want to go ahead and run the engine, circulate the oil through the engine, fill up the oil filter housing, and then let it settle and check it again and top off the engine. This next thing we want to do is the brake fluid. So we want to flush through all this brake fluid and fill it up with fresh fluid. And I can see that brake fluid's not terribly dirty in there. Yeah, it's pretty clear. I mean, like I said, guys, this car had already been fully serviced. I even see there's brand new fuel filters on here. But anyway, we got to bleed our brakes because we have all new brakes on the car. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and top this off, and then we're going to put our pressurized brake bleeder on the system. All right, guys, this is the Motive Products Power Bleeder. And basically, we're going to put in around 10 PSI, pressurize the system, and then we're going to go around to each caliper and crack open the bleeder screws, and it's going to push all the air out, push this fluid through, and then we're going to fill it up and get fresh fluid going through, and then we'll be done bleeding out and flushing the brake system. So first thing we're going to do, it looks like it's almost full, but we're going to go ahead and top it off because we're going to have to refill it when we flush through all this fluid. We'll have to fill it up again. And you don't want to flush it all the way until your reservoir is dry, because then you'll just suck air down in there through the reservoir. And plus, it's not good for the seals in the master cylinder. So what we'll do now, we'll just put our cap on here. There we go. We'll screw that down. And then we want to pressurize this to 10 PSI, and you really don't want to go much more than that. 10 PSI won't hurt your system at all. All right, that's about 6. There we go, 10 PSI. Now let's go crack the bleeders and get the air out of the system. All right, let's see if I can show y'all how this works. We just want to pop our cap off of our bleeder screw, and you always want to start farthest away from the master cylinder. So this is the passenger rear. All right, let's get our cap off of there. And then let's have a cup with a little tube on it. I'm going to go ahead and just connect that. There we go, right there. We want to crack this guy loose, and it's a 9mm. There we go. It's pushing the air out of the system. We should see fluid here in a second. Oh, there comes the fluid. See the bubbles? There we go. Now we see the solid fluid. That means it has filled this caliper, pushed out all the air, and now we have solid brake fluid coming, or clear brake fluid coming through. All right, so I'm going to tighten it back up. And we're going to move to the rest of them. And that's how you bleed your brake system. Now we're going to have to go top off the reservoir in a minute just to make sure we don't run that dry. All right, we're up here at the passenger front now. Now your reservoir for your brake system, there's a reservoir for the rear brakes and a reservoir for the front brakes. The reservoir for the rear brakes is actually in the front of your reservoir, and the reservoir for the front brakes is in the rear of your reservoir. It's just opposite. Rear is front, front is rear. All right, got that on there. Let's crack this loose, see if you can watch for the bubbles. Oh, I just heard the air shoot out of there. And let's watch. There, see it? See the bubbles? See the fluid? Pushing all the bubbles out. And there we go. Solid brake fluid. All the bubbles are out. All right, let's tighten that back up. Go to the driver's side. And then after we're done, we need to pump the brake pedal a few times because remember, these brakes are new. The calipers are new. So we want to pump in the actual pads until they touch the rotor. And then we want to go top off our system again and bleed it one more time. All right, guys, I'm going to stop right here and refill the system. So remember I said the front is for the rear brakes. The rear is for the front brakes because there's a little divider wall in the middle. But I did the rears. Look how low. See, it's down there on the minimum line. So we bled all that fluid through the system just in the last couple of minutes. It doesn't take much. All right, so let's go ahead and top this off again. You can see it. It'll fill the rear first, and then it'll shoot across a little channel and fill the front. I'll point it out. There it goes. See it coming across that channel there? There we go. Now it's going to start filling the front, which is for the rear brakes. We'll see it start filling up here in a second. There it goes. All right, so I'm going to flush this all through, do it again, and then we'll have no air in the system and fresh brake fluid throughout. All right, we got it refilled, and you can see that is clear, fresh brake fluid in there. Now, of course, the reservoir is a little yellowed because it's old, but you can go, there you go. You can see that it's all fresh. And we have it filled right to the max line. See the max line right there? Now we want to go pump our brakes, and we should be good with the brake job. All right, let's go in here. Still need to put attach the steering wheel bolt right there. But let's go in here, crank it up, and because the brake, has a vacuum system. I want to see if there's glow plugs. I want to see if our brake level drops after I pump the brakes a few times. All right, got good oil pressure from our oil change. Now we're just going to pump the brake until the system, there we go, I can feel the pads. They haven't quite gone all the way out yet. There we go, it's starting to firm up. And we're going to go check our levels and then bleed the system one more time. There it goes. Now we have a good solid brake pedal. And that's how you do your brakes, you guys. All right, we need to go check it one more time. Yep, look at that. Remember, it was at our max line. See our max line right there? And when I pumped the brakes and pushed the pads out to the rotors, see how it dropped the brake fluid a little bit? All right, we're going to go hook up the pressurizer one more time and get any last little bit of bubbles out of here, and then we're done. Okay, our air filter housing lid is drying. See, I refinished it nice in the semi-gloss black. So that's going to finish drying. And now I think it's time to do what everyone has been waiting for. I'm going to install the old school aluminum wheels that have the body colored hubcaps. I just went and got the tires mounted today. So let's go ahead and get those wheels and tires on the car and put these beautiful hubcaps on the car. Jefferson, no. Okay, before we lift up the car, put on the wheels, I went ahead and reinstalled the air filter housing lid. You can see it's refinished. Looks much better now. Got rid of those little spots that were around there. So these wheels are they're designed for the hubcaps, and so they require shorter lug bolts. See, these are much shorter compared to the alloy bunt wheels. Let me show you those. There you go. See the difference? So if you're doing this, you got to make sure you get the right lug bolts. So let's go ahead and get these mounted up. All right, I'm just loosely going to put in the rest of these lug bolts, and then we'll torque them down on this wheel, and I will get the new painted hubcap and install it on here to show you guys what this looks like. All right, I'm going to see if I can demonstrate how to install the hubcap clips. So here's what the clips look like. You have this little spring-loaded metal here and the two tabs right there. I already have 3 installed here. I'm going to put the 4th one on. And what you do, you see how that's curved? You put that under the lip of the hubcap, and then we're going to push it in and down. I've got 4 nice clips on there, and now these clips just go up and clip onto those wheels. And also, one thing about these, I had long valve stems installed, so I made sure it can stick through the hubcap and make it easy to fill. All right, let's put that through there. All right. Boom! There we go. That is nice and secured, and there we go. We have our color matched hubcap. Guys, doesn't that look fantastic? Now, I've got to go do this on the rest of the wheels. Check it out. We've polished those, painted them. Looks fantastic. So I've got to go fight and cuss with the rest of these wheels and get them all on the car, and then it's off to the alignment shop. All right, there's a little better view. It's, you know, the suspension is extended because it's on the lift, but there you go, guys. See if I can walk back here and get a shot. All right, that's about as good a shot you're going to get. We have 2 lifts in the way, but it came out beautiful. All right, I'm going to try to get you guys a good view. We have the color-matched hubcaps back on the car and kind of cramped here in the shop. Let me walk around to the other side and show you guys. So yeah, this thing is, I think I'm officially done. Here we go. Here's a good shot. There we go. They look really nice. But yeah, I'm officially done, and it's off to the alignment shop on Monday. So that looks really nice. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of room in the shop to show you guys, but there we go. That's the diamond blue wagon. I put a ton of work into this car. It's been a couple of months, and I think we're finally done. I still need to go out for the test drive and do the shakedown, make sure I didn't miss anything. But it's off to the alignment shop Monday, then test drive, then I'm over to Scott's for interior and exterior detailing. Exterior doesn't really need to be detailed since I repainted the car. It's already detailed, but the interior we need to clean and vacuum and all that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.